Hey guys, this is Abe, and welcome to a new video here for the daily outlook for tomorrow, 10/5/2022. And we're going to start by looking at some charts here for the S&P 500 slash SPY slash SPX, and then we're going to take a quick look at VIX as well as Dixie, the US dollar index. But first, let's go ahead and take a look at the economic calendar here for tomorrow, just to see if there's any major events that we need to be aware of or any speakers. Looks like the FOMC Bostic is going to be speaking tomorrow at 4, which is after market closes, so that's not a whole lot of a big deal, I guess, since market will be closed at that time. Tomorrow is a pretty big day for oil, as you know, today OPEC decided to cut their production by 2 million barrel a day or so, I guess, and that caused the price of oil to go up. We also, tomorrow at 8:15, we have the non-farm employment change as well for September. And we also have the non-manufacturing PMI at 10 o'clock. So just keep an eye on these times whenever you're trading, because the economic data, when it comes out, your trade could go in the opposite direction just because of the data. Remember, news is nothing more than an excuse to take price from point A to point B. So without any further ado, let's go ahead and dive into the charts over here. As you guys can see, with ES over here, starting with Monday, we had a pretty nice rip here. We barely touched the base area over here of, this consolidation area, I guess between 3580 and 3600 or even 3610. We barely touched it. If I get closer here, let me just go ahead and move this area. We barely came back and touched it. We moved up, we consolidated up here. We continued. We had a strong overnight move. And today, when basically the market opened, let's just go ahead and this is where market opened in the morning, right around here in this area. As you guys can see, we had moved with a really nice gap up on SPY. We'll show the SPY chart here in a second. And we continued. Personally, I just took a trade over here once we claimed the 37.45 area. And I showed a rejection here, kind of like a little miniature flag, as you guys can see it, this little area over here. If you go to a smaller time frame, once we broke out, I took a long and I actually just exited somewhere up here, didn't really stay in it for too long, even though it continued and it moved up really nicely, and it even hit the 3780, which, like I said, this area over here is going to be an area of importance where you see this consolidation, so it kind of stopped it from going. You can see that we moved up quite a bit from the bottom over here, and if we want to measure this area from the very bottom to the very top, we moved a little over 6.5%, and that's a pretty solid move on indices. However, we are in an area where there is possible resistances that we have. You have an area over here at around 38, 35. You have this yellow line, like I showed previously, where we had it as a previous resistance, and so it is possible that it could cause kind of like a rejection here in this area. So, what is it going to be for tomorrow, or what's the plan going to be for tomorrow? Usually, after large moves like this, you'll have one of two scenarios. Obviously, assuming that the move to the upside has stopped. Uh, First thing is going to be consolidation. So basically, if we are to continue to the upside, we can start basing here in this area and start consolidating, not much of a pullback, and then a continuation to the upside. Um, Second scenario, we might have a pullback. Now, let's talk a little bit about the consolidation. So tomorrow is Wednesday, and Wednesdays are known to be choppy days usually in the market. And with tomorrow not being a very eventful day per se, there is a good chance that we can have a little bit of this consolidation going on tomorrow. So what does that mean? Um, well, consolidation usually causes a lot of trapping, both longs and shorts. So many people, whenever they saw such a big move like this one, they just wanted to go ahead and take a short position or a put position on SPY and or SPX and thinking, okay, well, we moved this much, we have to pull back. Well, the market doesn't have to do anything. The market could continue to the upside without any pullback. As a matter of fact, it's just, market can be irrational for longer than you can be solvent. Always think this way. Always think this way. So always look for confirmation. You want to look for confirmation to the upside or confirmation to the downside, either way. So you always look at the levels that are important and say, okay, whenever you set up your chart and you set areas of resistance and support and you find areas of consolidation and say, okay, what's going to be my next target? Um, I'm not gonna lie to you. I would be hesitant now taking a long position. Even if we try to break above this 3800 again or stay above to 3800, you probably the most this could go, I would say upwards of 3830. But I would think that we're gonna, even if we are to continue to the upside, we're gonna have to have some kind of a breathing room over here, either with consolidation or with a pullback. Now let's talk about a pullback first. If that happens, what does it mean and how is it gonna happen? First thing you're gonna have is you have this purple line, like I said in the video yesterday, that shows the broadening formation. And I know this thing looks very, I'm going to go ahead and probably have to change the colors of these lines over here just so that it's easier for everybody to see. But you see over here in this area, you have this broadening formation. Even today, when we broke above this area, we actually came back and revisited this purple line over here today. We broke this like rising wedge. We came back, tested this level over here at 37.65. We moved back up. So the first step for us is going to be we have to reclaim to the downside. We have to reclaim the 3780, and this could very well happen overnight. Uh, I would say a break below about 3760. Targets are going to be fairly modest. We probably come back down and visit this 3745. There will probably be a reaction here in this area if that happened. I don't expect tomorrow to be like a fireworks type of day. So personally, I think even if we are to retrace, we probably will chop in this area over here in this range between 3745 and 3780, maybe a little bit higher than that. But I mean, it's 40-point chance for consolidation, which would be very decent. It's best case scenario. Um, as far as the bullish scenario, w- how long can we think that this move is going to stay bullish? Well, for first thing that you need to know is that um, the levels that we have over here, before one of the things we saw that the 3700 was a magnet price for ES. Like when we came down here, we consolidated quite a bit in this area over here, as you guys can see. This whole chop area is basically, it was a magnet. Anytime the price moves up, comes back to 3700, moves up, same thing, moves down, come back up, 3700 the whole time. And so there is a possibility we may come back to visit this area, the 3700, which is not a huge move from where it's at. It's about 86 points or so from where we at right now. You know, um, I would say I said before, what as long as that 3745, I was saying today in the group that 3745 is still kind of like bulls are still in control. Matter of fact, I want to say right now, as long as we're not making lower lows, technically you should think that we are bulls, I would say, are still in control. So even if we pull back towards 3745, personally, I would think as long as we're over 3700, this move to the upside is still valid. There is a good chance that we still can bounce back from there and continue. Do I think we're going to come back to 3700? Probably not. I don't think it will be tomorrow, just because of it being Wednesday and it's not going to be a major day as far as like economic events. But a pullback to about 37.45 is likely, personally. That's what I think. Maybe even a little bit higher than that. Maybe we come back and touch this purple line over here again, maybe even 37.60 or so, and from there we bounce right back up. The main thing for a short or long position is that what you want to do is you want to wait for the reclaim of a support auto resistance to the upside, right? So let's just say, for example, over here, right now we have the resistance, the first resistance that we have is right around 38, not 3809 or so. If we come back and reclaim it, there's a chance that we can continue move to the upside at around 38, 35. That could be your target over there. And the same thing to the downside. Will you have a support? If we reclaim that support that we went through, that gives you the chance for us to move to the downside. As far as move to the upside, I'm not going to try to predict a lot higher than 38, 35 or so, without any decent rejection, like a pullback and a rejection in one of these areas. I would really like to see some kind of action like that. Let's go ahead and take a look at the SPY chart, starting with the daily. As we said today, we had a really nice move to the upside on the daily. We had this move here and this move over here. It seemed pretty decent and kind of brought us closer to this area up here, upwards of 388.90 or so. There's a level of resistance that I see over here at 380, 381. Same thing over here with this blue line, which kind of goes hand in hand with that yellow line that we showed on ES. Now let's move to the hourly over here. And the reason why I wanted to do that is that I just wanted to throw in the volume profile and kind of like show you where we sit as far as this move over here. So as you guys can see, we are at the point of control for this whole entire move. We're sitting right at the point of control, right? If we were just going to take a look at this move. And this is your volume node, meaning that there's a lot of trading that happened over here. And there's your next volume node over here, right around 366, which is showing where there's a lot of trading that happened. So if we actually lose this area, there's a really good chance we come down here. If we came down here, this is a support area, probably won't hold for long. It might come back down here, touch this region here, and move right back up. That's again, that's what I think. Even if you want to look at it from a Fibonacci retracement point of view, that happens to be right around the 36%. Even if we retrace about 50% of this move, this is about 337, sorry, 336. I can't speak. Um, Now, on the other hand, when we're looking at the volume profile, as a matter of fact, I'm just going to keep that one there, but I'm going to add another one for this move from the move up all the way down here. And I want to see where we sit on it. And it looks like this is your point of control, somewhere at 363 for this whole move. And we're at this volume knot over here. So yeah, if we move up, this is probably going to be your next target up, somewhere up here about 381 or so. I wouldn't try to go any higher. I'll probably more than likely see a reaction here in this area. And if we pull back, as soon as we start seeing volume, just like I showed here in this area at around 367 or so, you see this area, we call it a skinny belly. Skinny belly is basically there's not a whole lot of volume, meaning that there's not a whole lot of buyers or sellers or not a whole lot of orders that were sitting over there. There's not much interest in this price area. And so you can definitely see that if we bring the price or break the price below maybe 375 or so, maybe even let's just say 374.21 to be more specific, there's a really good chance for us that we continue down to about 371 or lower. That would be like your target one. About 368, 367 could be the target too. If we pull back, reject over here, move right back up, this will be your target over here, 380, 381 area. But again, I don't expect a whole lot of move. So this is just seeing as of the chart as of right now, because like we had a really strong move to the upside overall over the past couple of days. Definitely expect some cooling down. The market doesn't keep moving this way all the time. And so it's okay that we didn't catch, if you didn't catch the entire move to the upside, that's absolutely fine, especially if you're a day trader. See your next target up, secure your profit, and run. If you stay with that mentality, you'll always secure profit, you'll always come out with profit, you'll always come out on top. Whereas if you try to think like, hey, I'm going to go ahead and hold on for a long time, maybe for the entire day, you might end up facing one of these days where the price moves up and then pulls back and has like a complete wash for the day. So so yeah, that's pretty much it here. It's pretty simple, very straightforward for ES and SPY. Next, I'm going to go ahead and take a look at VIX. But before I talk about VIX, I just want to say if this is your first time watching this video, please consider uh, subscribing and like. And if you would like to trade live with us, I would have this have a link for the Discord where we trade live every day. It will be in the description section below. We're running a special where we have the first month for free, no commitment necessary. You can cancel at any time. Just come out there and give us a shot, and hopefully we'll make it worth it for you. In a previous video, I talked about VIX, and I said I would like to see it come back into this triangle and perhaps, move back to the support here in this triangle. Hopefully that'll happen here in the last quarter of the year, where we will have a little bit of a rally, perhaps a relief rally, whatever you want to call it, Santa rally. And as of right now, where we sit over here, I mean, VIX did not move as intense, I would say, as the market did, to the upside. Um, it did move down some, however, so we might have it come back here and test this area over here around the 30 or so, which would happen probably with, it would work with a pullback on ES if that happened. And hopefully we'll have a little bit of rejection here and we'll continue back to the downside. But as of right now, I mean, I always say that even though we're looking at it from a technical point of view. I hate to say that VIX follows technical analysis. I don't really think it does, but sometimes I guess it does happen. So we have this little uptrend channel over here with VIX that we rejected, kind of respected twice over here. There's three times over here. So, we might come back here and come back and break below about 28.54 or so. If this breaks, there's a good chance that we come back down to 25, and from there, maybe down towards 23. Hopefully that's what will happen. Maybe the market can get a breather and move back to the upside because Lord knows a lot of people that are holding shares are in pain nowadays. Um, as a scenario to the upside, obviously, if we have a rejection over here, and let's just say we rejected on ES and we are just to continue to the downside, this will be a rejection point here in this area. And the next target to the upside, if we break above the 30, 31 area, next target will be about 34 and then 35. And this area have proven to be an area of resistance pretty much for VIX all the way back from 2021 for December, January, March. You have May as well as June, and lastly, we had September. So, anytime that we reach this area, as you guys can see, we came back, pulled back. You have a little bit of pullback and kind of like a spring to the downside, and then we move back down. Same thing, rejection, come back, try to retest. There's another retest and a move to the downside. Same thing, move to the downside. So price moves in waves, and especially nowadays, I guess people are probably going to be chill just for a little bit, unless the data for employment that we'll have on Thursday and Friday for the non-farm payroll, if it comes back positive for the job market, Feds are not going to like that data, and the market is going to think good news is bad news. Why is that? Because a strong job market means the Feds will have to be more aggressive in the way that they are handling inflation, because apparently what they are doing isn't working, which is raising the rates in order to slow down the growth in the economy. And one of the biggest signs for slowing down growth in the economy is going to be a slowing job market. However, if the job market continues to be strong, J Powell is going to think, well, you guys, what we're doing is not aggressive enough, apparently, and we're going to have more aggressive solutions on the table, meaning that we're expecting about 0.25 of a point to be increased by the end of the year. That could change. That they may consider, continuing to raising rates until they see things going their way. But that brings us into the high risk of a recession, which, arguably many people would say that we are already in a recession. However, a recession gets announced usually in a retroactive date. They don't tell you, oh, you're in a recession now. They're just going to tell you recession has started like 5 or 6 months ago because the indicators that they use to determine a recession kind of lagging indicators. And so, but that's another subject for another day. Let's take a quick look at the US dollar index, Dixie. And just like I said yesterday, a break below this area over here of the 111,600 is going to be a really nice trade to the downside. Probably takes us down to here. And I said I would like to see it come down all the way down here. Again, it goes hand in hand with whatever we were talking about our analysis. And if we end up consolidating over here for a little bit, same thing would probably see in ES. But I would like to see a rejection here in this area. And if we reject here, we probably will continue back to the upside. Targets will be the same as the lines that you have over here. 11,600, 111,600 will be the first one, 112,700 will be your second one, and probably upwards of 113,827. So I'm going to change these lines to white to show as target. By now, you probably would see that, my areas of high importance, I color them usually red, as for entry sometimes, and targets usually go in white. So yeah, this is what I would like to see over here. So if you would like to trade Dixie over here or the US dollar index, you can do it in one of you know, three ways if you'd like. You can actually trade the US dollar index on futures. You can trade Dixie with pretty much any Forex broker. You can also trade, ETFs like UUP, for example. You can trade that whether in shares or in options. And so there are multiple ways that you can actually take advantage of this move. Personally, I would probably look at UUP over here. We dropped down to about 29.54. I think this is a pretty decent area for us to look for a long position, maybe carry it all the way upwards of about 30. These will be targets over here valued. Let's just see, I would say maybe $30 and probably even 30.50 as second target, and maybe upwards of 30.80 as a third target. Just make sure if you get options, make sure you give yourself some time on it because it doesn't have to necessarily happen in a few days. It could take a week or a couple of weeks for that to happen, but it will be a pretty nice trade actually. I think this is going to be a really nice, easy trade. Um, just go ahead and get a sip of my drink real quick. Okay, I'm having apple juice today. Just a quick look at oil over here. This is the rip that we had today after the OPEC news. Um, Tomorrow, I don't know where this is going to end up, to be honest, because the OPEC meeting is going to be at 6 a.m. So who knows what comes out of that. And so probably there's going to be a lot of volatility. I can assure you that a lot of future traders that trade oil probably are sitting flat tonight into tomorrow morning. So um, they had a pretty nice day today, anyways, with this move. Look at it over here. You have this consolidation area, kind of like you can call it a little bit of a demand zone here in this region. Just make it a little bit cleaner, and you have a pullback over here. They touch this demand zone, and boom, we moved right back to the upside. Now, you have this as a resistance over here, this area, 87, which is pretty much where it kind of stopped, right around, I'm sorry, 86.80 or so, or 86.70 area. Next target to the upside is more than likely going to be right around $89, and from there it's going to be the $90. $90 is going to be a key level, $90.40 to be specific on oil. This is light crude, by the way, that I'm looking at. And so if we break above here, there's a really good chance we can see like a good $5, $6 move to the upside. Not good for the economy. Let's just put it this way. Um, But then you have this little resistance. So yeah, it's going to be very, very tough to break this $90 level over here, I would think. And so if we go up here, probably a lot of people will try to be waiting for it to short it. So next thing I'm going to look at is Tesla over here. And today, with all the news that we had on Twitter, which Twitter ended up being halted a few times. Not sure. I know I witnessed a couple of times. I'm not sure if it got halted more than two times. It was about the news that they're just going to proceed with the buy of, with the deal with Elon Musk, and with that going through, that went up, and of course Tesla dropped. And with Tesla dropping, as you guys can see over here, this was kind of like a demand zone over here for it. We came back, tapped it, and we moved right back up. I actually traded the way up over here on Tesla. I was pretty confident, honestly, that if they were to take this level, they just would have taken it in one move. I don't think they would have waited. Tesla is a pretty volatile stock and it could actually move. So for it to come back down here and reject a couple of times, that's just told me that this is not going to move up, this is not going to continue moving down, at least not today. And so I just kind of played that little retracement here to the upside. And as far as trading Tesla over here for the actual chart, as you guys can see, we have a little downtrend channel where we're making, even if we go to like a higher time frame, it will make it a little bit more clear. You guys can see over here, we have lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, and chances are we make another lower high. Now, unless we come back up here and break. So technically, you can try to consider playing or trading, the rejections off of this support area. I would say maybe even downwards of, I don't know, right around 237. It's still a possibility. Matter of fact, you still have a good chance, uh, for a comeback to the upside, but it's still gonna be a little risky. You want to see it claiming a level of resistance. So right now we have, if I want to go ahead and put it on the daily, today's high of day was 257.50, and we have a gap over here that fills all the way pretty much at 265.22 to be specific. So what you can do is create an alert over here at the high of day for today and wait for a break above this high. And the only bad thing about it is that I would say, well, I wouldn't say it's even bad. Let's just say we start the day somewhere over here in the middle, and you would just go ahead and take, let's just try to draw a little candle over here. Just try my drawing skills. So let's just say we have a candle over here. That looks awful. Let's go ahead and try it again. Well, it's a brush, it's not going to work. So I'm going to go ahead and use the rectangle over here. Let's just say this is a candle, right? And it breaks above the daily over here. What I would do if I go above the high of day today, trade it for the gap fill to the long side, my stop loss would have to be the low of day of that day that is happening, right? Rather than have it to be below yesterday's low, because that's a huge stop loss. We're talking about 258 almost, or 200 and what is it? 257.50 all the way down to the low of day was 242.01. That's a huge difference. I'm not gonna have my stop loss go that long. So what I would do is I would wait basically for whatever that low of day. Let's just say if it happens tomorrow, the low of tomorrow will be my stop loss. But again, you just have to think about a couple of things when you're looking at that. One of the rules that I like to follow is that usually whenever it's a green day, I look for calls. Whenever it's a red day, I look for puts. Meaning, a day like today when it was really ripping, SPY was going to town. I'm not going to look for stocks to short. Eh, there's just lower success rate for you to short a stock when the market is green, especially if you're talking about like some of these big stocks, right? We're not talking about like some penny stocks or about some kind of mid cap that really doesn't have a whole lot of relevance that could have been affected by some kind of a catalyst. No, we're talking about you know, this drop here that didn't happen until the news came out. Before the news came out, this thing was trying to go move to the upside, as you guys can see. Goes back to my point earlier when I was saying, always secure your profit at the first reversal potential, because people that will be greedy and hold on some news might come out and wash away all of your profits and put you in red. So that's why I'm always saying secure your profit along the way, even if it's not, if you're not catching the entire move, you're always securing your profit, you'll always end up being on top rather than having to hold and then something like this happens and throws you back in red. You know, small profits add up, they go a long way. Anyways, to go back to here to our case, if we break above the high of day over here on today, I would think that we'll probably continue to try to fill this gap over here. And especially if we start the day, I'm talking about the live candle. I'm not going to talk about pre-market low. We're talking about the live candle, which is after open, that it could happen. However, remember what I was talking about ES earlier, how I expect a pullback or consolidation. Well, when that happens, tends to happen across the board. You know, the S&P 500 is a reflection of pretty much, your pretty much your stock market, right? I mean, all these 500 stocks that are out there, you're actually seeing a reflection average move for all of them, right? And so if that's choppy, that means all these stocks that are making that index are choppy, right? Even though it's not really reflected evenly because some of them have a lot higher holdings than others and affect the S&P, like the SPY or let's just say AES, or it affects it heavier. So if Apple drops, chances are you'll see SPY drops, and sometimes Tesla might have the same effect, or Amazon will have the same effect on the Nasdaq, and so on. But overall, I would say if you're going to have a choppy day, usually if you're expecting a choppy day in futures, chances are you're going to have choppy days on some other stocks. So if you go into something like that, just go small. Make sure you have like tight stop losses if you do something like that. But personally, I think we might have some kind of consolidation. Maybe we try to come back up to this area over here, upwards of 255, 256. Not sure if we'll break it, but when we do break it, I think it will be a really nice move upwards of 265 to fill this gap. To the downside, breaking below 240, your first target down is going to be 237. Like I said, I was thinking maybe I would be willing to take a stab at it at around 237, but then again, I'm looking at it maybe even lower. I'll be willing to take like a rejection, or like we said, you have a level of support. If we take it and reclaim it as a rejection over here, that would be a good chance for you to take a long and probably have your stop loss sitting somewhere over here. This way, your risk is very small compared to the reward that you might end up having. Today was also an interesting day for Netflix. I was looking at it, and this puppy was dropping, and one of the members was actually asking me about it when it was dropping, when it would be the support, and I told him this is what I have the line over here at around 233.89, and I told him what I just told you guys, look for calls on a green day, don't look for puts, because he was probably thinking, okay, well, if we break here, maybe we can continue to the downside. Absolutely not. What you need to do is look for a setup that is suitable for a call rather than a put. It's a green day, chances are everything is going up. That's what you're going to try to assume. Look for a good setup for something that moves to the upside. If the day is red, then you can start looking for a trade to the downside. Let's just say if tomorrow turns out to be a red day, for example, you can start seeing like, hey, if this thing breaks and we hold below this level, I can take this puppy down to about 230 and from there maybe down to 227. But if the day is green or if the day is choppy, chances are you're probably going to see something like this. And these moves for option traders are awful because we don't make money on low volatility days when there's not really good moves. The IV is low. The IV crushes the contracts, is what it does. The move up and down just basically eats through the contracts. And so, you end up losing money, or sometimes you might end up getting trapped thinking like, hey, we're breaking below this, and then the next thing you know, moves right back up. You enter a put over here, and you end up getting stuck on the wrong side of the trade. So With that being said, I think I'm going to go ahead and end the session over here today. Again, thank you so much for watching. If this is your first time, please consider subscribing and liking the channel. I'm going to try to do recap videos every day and look at some setups. Try to keep the videos as short as possible when is possible. And if you are interested in trading live with us in Discord, the link to Discord will be down in the description section. Come over and join us. We have the first month for free, and we do it this way just to allow you, give you the chance to come in and join us and check us out and see how our signals are, check how the environment is, see if you like it. This way, you're not committed to anything. You can cancel at any time. If you like it, you can continue with us. If not, no hard feelings. But we'd love to have you there. Thank you guys so much, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.